What's going on, my friends? SeanPierceJohnson here, and welcome to episode 200 of Stompbox Saturday. And yes, that includes all sorts of offshoots of this crazy, wacky little pedal show that I decided to start abruptly 6 years ago. And my, what a journey it has been. It's kind of weird to think that it was only a couple years ago we were at episode 100. I was in Germany sitting down with Robert Keeley himself talking about caverns. And how fitting is it that today, on the Stompin' Block, to celebrate episode 200, we have another awesome Keeley pedal, and probably one of my favorites this year. It is the DCR Drive Chorus Rotary pedal. I almost said reverb. It's not reverb, it's drive, chorus, rotary. Basically, you can already tell by these cool little glamour shots that you see on your screen, this pedal sort of pays homage to the Ibanez Session Man that we took a look at a few weeks back. It definitely has that lush kind of chorusy sound with a bit of a different twist on the overdrive section of the pedal. It's not quite that fat cat rat style thing. It's its own thing entirely, something that's decidedly Keeley. Also, another fitting thing, I managed to get serial number 100 of this. Very weird. Another Keeley pedal on another 100 episode milestone. This is episode 200. This pedal is serial number 100. Very strange the way the universe works like that. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Let's get down to the business of the episode. Throw the pedal up on the screen, take a look at the controls, and talk about what exactly the DCR is going to be doing for us. Now, you can immediately take a look at this and see that this shares a lot of similarities with the DDR. Indeed, it's kind of that same idea. Drive on the right side with a wet channel on the left side. Now, let's take a look at this. The drive, it's the same two drive pedals that were in the DDR. Got that cool blues breaker style overdrive on the left position on the style switch, and on the right, Keeley's take on the screamer style overdrive. But the cool thing with this particular screamer style overdrive is this is where higher settings on the gain knob really excel for some really smooth and singing lead tones, which we will hear in just a little bit. Now, the left side, the mod side, this is where your chorus and your rotary start to come into play. You'll see the switch in the middle, up position chorus, down position rotary. When you have the chorus selected, on the left side of this switch right here, you have chorus, and then on the right, you have flange. Now, if you flick down to rotary, you have a vibra effect, which is basically like a vibrato, and then my favorite, the Leslie effect. To me, Keeley does one of the best DSP Leslie simulators on the market today. It feels the best of all the ones that I've tried, and quite frankly, I think it sounds the best. Control-wise, it's pretty familiar. On the drive side, we have level, drive, and tone. Then your style switch to select between your two voicings. And then your modulation is all controlled by rate, depth, and blend. Now, this is really cool because normally when you see choruses, you just see that rate and depth thing. But having that extra blend control can get you a little bit more subtlety out of a heavy chorus tone. Just really allows you to be able to dial in your modulation tone to the way that you want it to be. Not many people like modulation effects, and maybe they should seek professional help. Oh, and before I move on, just like the DDR, this has on the side the TRS insert switch. So for someone like me who uses a G2 or any other loop switcher, you know, Boss ES8 et al., you can take TRS breakout cables, plug into the in and the out, and take one side of the pedal, put it in one loop, and take the other side of the pedal, put it in another loop, and have all kinds of switchy fun. Okay, enough talking, let's get to some playing. Let's hear a few different settings from the two different drives that are in the DCR. left side of the style switch is that blues breaker style overdrive. Now, a lot of guys like to use this kind of pedal as an always on thing, but I feel like this particular one that we've heard in the DDR and is now in the DCR, it really excels as kind of like your full range overdrive, and it reacts particularly well to your volume knob changes. That's not to say that we can't turn up the gain, maybe darken it just a little bit, and let's just see what that does for us, huh? Even at those higher gain settings, it just, you feel it all. All that distortion just encompasses your guitar sound, and it just feels really good. Inversely, style switch to the right so that we get that screamer style overdrive. I don't think I've ever heard a screamer style pedal sound like this. Echo from the chaos crescendo. You still get a little bit of that clean blend that you typically get from a TS style overdrive, but that gain just sounds sweeter. It doesn't have that overbearing like grind. It's very smooth and very friendly. But one thing we actually didn't look at in the DDR demo, which I think we should definitely do here, is check out how the drive sounds in front of the crunch tone of my orange rock reverb. Let's check out both styles of that overdrive. First with that breaker style with the left switch on the style control. I like that. I never played a blues breaker overdrive really all that much in front of my rock reverb, but that I like. All right, now for the screamer style, the right side of the style control. Very interesting. That screamer style. This is probably the fullest I've ever heard a pedal of that style. It has way more body than you're typically used to with those kind of overdrive pedals. Sounds a lot sweeter. And the breaker overdrive has a lot more cut and a lot more grind to it. Honestly, it's kind of hard to choose which one I like best, but I guess it's a good thing that I have the DDR and the DCR, so ¿por qué no los dos? Yay! Anyway, now let's move on to the modulation. Now what we're gonna do here, rather than just like really going in depth because we could be here a while, I'm going to show you my favorite settings with the 4 different effects and how manipulating the blend knob is really the key to getting the right kind of modulation sound for you. So let's check it out, starting with the chorus. Now, I don't know what the chorus is based on in the DCR, but if I had to hazard a guess, it's going to be something loosely based around the CE2. That's the kind of vibe that I get off of it. And it's a very awesome approximation of that sound, having recently played Silver Screw CE2. That's really like what I'm hearing here. And it is lush and it is magical and it pairs very well with the drives in it, but we're not going to focus on that just yet. For me, I like a nice slow chorus with a lot of depth, but sometimes if we were just to, you know, turn up the blend knob a little bit, sometimes you'll encounter chorus pedals that don't have a blend control. It's just rate and depth. And sometimes this kind of chorus tone is just a little too much. Sometimes you want to let a little bit more of your clean tone come through. That's where the blend knob comes in handy. Now, I had it at 12 o'clock, and I feel like that is what's going to work best for me. But if I go ahead and turn that up, it still sounds great, but it's just a little too much of that warble. So using that blend control really helps things come through. That's warbly. Say you want to increase that, but the depth is right where you need it. Again, that blend control. Let's just crank it. That almost sounds Leslie-ish. And we already have a Leslie on here, and yet the chorus can cop that sound. Pretty cool if you ask me. All right, now going to the flange. Now, this flange is something that I have a lot of fun with. I prefer the depth pretty high with the blend just about right there, like 1, 2 o'clock. But I like that slow rate, you know, because I come from that Van Halen school of thought where you get that long, whooshing airplane flange. honestly, between the chorus and the flange alone, it's hard to figure out which one of these, because this is going to go on my pedal board. I just have no idea which one I would want to use more, the chorus or the flange. And we haven't even gotten to the vibrato and the Leslie. So let's flick this middle switch down to rotary, and let's flick the switch over to the left for the vibrato. And let's check this thing out. Now, the DCR's manual says that the rotary is really meant to be a modulation sound that really will get you all those kind of classic organ rotating speaker tones. Now, what we just heard was the vibra. Now, I'm not too familiar what that is going to be cloning, but I will say this. It definitely has some vibrato effect to it, and I've turned the blend completely up so we get as much of that effect as possible. But I still feel like I hear my original dry guitar tone. It's not 100% a vibrato, which is what I kind of assumed it was, but at the very same time, it's still a very cool sound, and one that, well, if I wanted a vibrato, I'll just go get a vibrato and I'll use this and be perfectly fine with it. And personally, this is the way that I like to use it. That fast kind of really bending your pitch and just making things sound all kinds of warbly, kind of like a warped vinyl record. Hi, Joel. I love you. Yeah, it's just all kinds of cool to just get that warble and get that kind of degradation of your sound that just kind of, it really is a sound that you just have to play and experience to believe. Now, flicking over to the Leslie. We've heard this Keeley rotary speaker since the very first Keeley pedal I ever demoed years ago, the Dark Side. It blew me away back then. It reaffirmed itself when I had demoed the Dyno Myroto, and here in the DCR, it still does not fail to amaze me. And I usually like this thing as fast as possible and as deep and as throaty as possible. So let's do this thing. Smoking! And I don't care how many times I screwed up playing that. That was fun as hell. Before I have a full-on tone boner meltdown here on camera, let's go ahead and move on to a few settings that I think you're gonna like. Combinations of effects that I feel really show off how awesome the DCR is. So let's dive into those. Now, judging by the cosmetics and the fact that I've been told as such, the DCR is indeed a little bit of a nod to the Ibanez Session Man, which I just recently purchased and I'm starting to love a little too much. And I feel like this combination with the drive and the modulation in the DCR captures the stock tone of the Session Man running the two effects in series. First, I'm going to start with a clean tone, kick on the drive, and then kick on the chorus so that you can hear each part build upon itself. So let's check it. Using the Blues Breaker style overdrive on the drive side and then the Leslie on the DDR, we might as well just call this the blues man's tool bag, because at the end of the day, what could be better for blues rock than a Blues Breaker overdrive and a Leslie? I don't know. Let's check it out. Now, it comes to the context of using the DCR within my rig, this is how I see myself using it. Screamer style overdrive on the drive side, and on the modulation side, getting that flanger. I've got a few choruses that'll take care of the kind of tone that I'm going after. Not to say that this one isn't good, I just have other options that I am already using and I'm happy with, but this flange is just way too good to pass up. I'll show you a couple examples of how I see myself using it. Let's start with my crunch tone, and I'll show you how the screamer really helps up the saturation and give it just a little bit more edge. flange to accentuate and provide a nice filtering effect to give the next little riff a little bit of extra dimension. There you have it, my friends, helping celebrate 200 episodes of Stompbox Saturday, the Keeley DCR. Another absolute winner from the folks at Keeley comes to us this year, and to be honest with you, I would have been fine if the DDR was it. It was already pretty good. The drive sounded great, the delay, the reverb, hard to argue with it. But when I see the DCR and see that it's those same two drives that already sound great, bundled up with a bunch of different modulation effects that I know Keeley works very, very hard to make sound as best as they possibly can, I knew I had to check this thing out in person and had to see how it stacked up against the original Ibanez Session Man. If I would have to go out on a limb and say this, I would say that the DCR improves and expands upon what the original concept of the Session Man is, providing a little bit more flexibility in your routing and your effects than the previous pedal, but also kind of tailoring it to today's player and the kind of sounds that today's guitar player goes after, especially one that kind of bases their guitar rig around a well-stocked pedal board. I can see this going onto my personal pedal board in the very near future and look forward to seeing what it can do for me live and in the studio. And I certainly hope you guys enjoyed the look at the DCR today. I would love to know your thoughts on it. If you have positive or negative things you want to say, the comment section down below is there for your enjoyment. And when you see it, please do click the subscribe button and ring the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. But if you want to see every video and demo that I make before anyone else in the world, as well as get some access to exclusives, go and visit my Patreon page. You'll find a link for that in the description below. Until next time, my friends, I'm SeanPierceJohnson, and I'll see you all next weekend and wish you great tone and happy stomping. Cheers.